good afternoon all. Now we have a next session is motivation and drive, why we do what we do. Our speaker is Riza. So please ma'am, come here.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here and being part of Women Economic Forum. As I've said this morning with Dr. Harvin, this is my first time in India and this is my first time attending the forum, and I feel very overwhelmed and empowered. So, being surrounded with our soul sisters and amazing women makes me feel really overwhelmed, and it's really a pleasure being here. So motivation and drive, why we do what we do. Today I'm going to share with you a little bit about my story, why I do things, and what makes me do things. I will start with a quote that I actually used when I was still young until now. I'm still learning, and that's what I would like to instill to everybody, to not stop learning. Life is 10% of how we live and 90% of how we take. Life is 10% of how we live and 90% of how we take. 9 years ago, I was in an abusive relationship. I've lived a life full of with questions as to why it happened to me, even though I was a religious person before. That question was caused by physical, verbal, mental, and emotional abuse that caused so much confusion, isolation, and self-doubt too. And then came a moment where I got reunited with myself again. Something happened, and in that moment, I was free. That weight just came off my chest, and I was left with this deep sense of inner peace. Looking back, I didn't really think it would happen to me. I actually literally asked God why, but the thing is, the more we actually ask why, it drives us away from the reality or the truth about us. Now, as a coach, I'm also a speaker, and I founded a company in Japan about women empowerment. Now I work with women who, no matter what they do, or no matter what they've achieved and what they're up to right now, they have this weight that's weighing them down and that's stopping them from achieving their goals, from accomplishing what they really want to do in life. So I spend time with them to take that confusion, isolation, and self-doubts, that those weight that are giving them like a hindrance to grow. And I also work with them to have a sense of inner peace and a sense of freedom to do whatever it is that they want in life. You see, safety is our enemy to succeed. We must be proud of our mistake, and we have to take a risk. We have to fail. We have to fail spectacularly. Go out there and fail even more. That's how we learn. Our experiences should be our best teachers. My company focuses on empowering women. It is there to help them live a life full of life, and it exists to liberate them, to exercise self-love, and how they can operate the world so they too can hit their goals and reach their dream. This is for women who are seeking transformation in their lives. So in Japan, that's where I'm based, but originally I'm from the Philippines. It's so difficult to survive as an entrepreneur, let alone being a woman in the business. So we are being looked at as if we don't belong, and that we should just go back home and raise our family or take care of our children. A lot of Japanese women suffers that, and even though if you're not Japanese, if you live in that society, if you feel like you people are putting you in that same box. So now I stand in front of you as a voice for all women out there who wants to be heard. My motivation and my drive comes from them, giving them an assurance or a hope that whatever happens to them, whether you are in an abusive relationship or you are abusing yourself, letting yourself be abused, they also can still reach their dreams. So when you think of the words motivation and drive, what comes to your mind? Do you associate them being one or being the same? Now they may seem similar, but their meanings set them apart. If you have a motivation, you might have the desire to do something. But without drive, you won't have what it takes to get it done. If you are ambitious, then you are conditioned to accomplish a task. But without motivation, you won't have any satisfaction. So which do you think is better to have? Motivation, drive? As a woman, I'd prefer motivation, but study says it is just mere emotions. And we as women, we are very emotional. We tend to connect our emotions in every actions, in every situations, in every scenarios of our lives. So drive is the trigger. This morning, Gaganit was saying, let's have something, the fire in the belly, that's the drive. Let's have something, let's have a fire in that belly that will kick our ass. That's where it's gonna go. So that's drive, and with the right mindset, we can all go further. So most of us gets motivated day in, day out. When we see people marching on TV about climate change, we feel like we would love to join in. Or when after watching a video about tips on how to lose or gain weight, we feel motivated, right? But after that, it's just we go back to our normal life. So how do we break from that fleeting moment? How do we break from that habit of short-lived reaction? The only way is to grow your drive. You have to feed the flame. You have to build it up. Don't allow yourself to be overwhelmed by the thoughts of doing it. Let's put our motivation into action. There's nothing more dangerous in holding on to something that is no longer relevant. Our old experiences, our old pains, our old learnings, we have to be able to learn, unlearn, and relearn. Be adaptable. If you keep clinging on to the past, you will mess up your future. Did you know that drive suppresses discomfort and disappointments and mistakes? Yeah, so when we are driven, it puts us in a path to finish an objective. Makes us feel immune with disappointment, discomfort, pain, and all those emotions. It causes us to realize that they are all part of the process, and we strive to continue anyway. So people who have the desire know that goals are not always easy to achieve, but they relentlessly work towards them at any cost, no matter what it takes. Having that mindset allows us to use our drive to become our motivation. So in life, if we are not willing to take a risk, we will never have a chance to experience the great opportunity out there. Here is the sad truth. If we aren't doing the things that we love to do right now, we didn't want it badly enough in the first place. For every action, there is a reaction. I will say it again. For every action, there is a reaction. You know, we live your life 10% and 90%, take it positively. Don't be dwelling in that emotion. Don't be crying over spilled milk with what you've experienced. Don't go for things that we cannot have. Don't be too busy trying to steal things that we cannot keep. Let's keep learning, because the minute we stop learning, we stop growing. To become successful, we need the right knowledge. So at any cost, acquire them. Instead of trying to steal someone's success, let's rebuild our own and make it, let's learn how to build it and use it for our own good. You know, there is a vast amount of knowledge of information out there. But why is everyone not successful? You know, why most people with passions never become successful? The answer is very simple. They love something so much, they cannot accept the things that they get for free, and they cannot see life clearly. So love is blinding them. They don't know when is the right time to kill their ideas. They don't know when to give up. So now here's the thing. In this event, in the forum, we are going to hear a lot of ideas from our speakers. If you have a business or you are starting a business, you're going to have a lot of ideas. Guess what? Some of them will fit you, will fit your business, will fit your idea, but some of them won't. Now, that is not a comment on the capability of the speakers or the person who hears it. Just sometimes it just fits and sometimes it doesn't. You are the expert of you. You will decide whether this event, this forum, will help you grow as an individual or not. You will choose if this event fits you or not. So like to get yourself ahead and create your own opportunity. Like to be an expert. I've never been good at anything. I started a business before I even knew how to make a presentation. I started a funding before I even knew how to tap any organizations. But because I didn't know anything, there was no limitation. There was no best practices. Because I didn't know anything, I wasn't thinking in a box. But there's nothing wrong about being in a box. It's still there. We are influenced by the box, whether we like it or not. And it doesn't matter whether you're inside or you're outside, as long as we know or we're comfortable that that this is for us, and that we have this fire in our belly. You know, when you are doing something and you are scared, or when you feel fear, you are doing the right thing. When fear is present, you are doing something extraordinary. When fear is present, the result is extraordinary. Now, you can always overpower motivation once you are driven. But bear in mind that most desire needs to be sustained. So I encourage you to have a daily routine in doing something that steer you closer to your objective. I challenge you to dig deeper to the things that inspire you and use it to propel you. My name is Riza. I aim to empower women and lead them to inspire positive change and to have a better life after what happened to us. Thank you very much, and more power. It's from me. Do you have any questions?
Right. Very inspiring indeed, Riza. I've been in my own journey, so I'm very humbled to hear from you on your journey.
Thank you.
A question that I have for you, and I've been battling with this for a while. how do you handle, personally, how do you handle disappointments, failures, struggles? Is there a medicine that you have, a shot that you give yourself? Is there a chatter? So is there something that you can shed light on, which will help all of us here?
Thank you for that question. That's very empowering, as I may say. I would like to share with you the company that I actually started in Japan, and it is called WEI, which stands for Women Empowered Institute. And I will answer the question in a way which why I started a business. Self-empowerment starts from within. And I have 3 children, and you must probably see them. Every day, the stress, I have to always empower myself. Sometimes when my youngest son, when he was being difficult, I still get emotional. Because I have to always remind myself, why do I need this? Why am I doing this? Why do I want this? And I developed a habit, because we're just only human, even though powerful women, they still experience, but sometimes we're so, in Japan, if you've been to Japan, hopefully you will all be in Japan for the forum, you will observe the mother there, that they build a wall so much that they pretend that everything is okay. And then I told them it's okay not to be okay. You don't get it all together. So what I did is develop a habit, gratitude journal, writing down. And sometimes what makes you stop from writing is because you think you need to write all the things that you are thankful for. No, you also need to acknowledge what you are scared of, what you are having difficulty of, and what you are trying to solve every day. So I started a journal, and then for the 30 days, I developed a habit that, as I don't want to touch my phone, so because of my son, I always do my work, my online work, nighttime when he's asleep. So I will make it a habit that I will not touch my phone. I will do my journal, because sometimes when you say, okay, I'll just answer one, no, that's not going to happen. You think you're going to answer it. The moment you open your Facebook, your Messenger, your Line, WhatsApp, it's just continue, and you're like, I've been here for 2 hours, right? So make it a habit, make it a point that, no, I'm going to do this because this is for me. This is what I'm struggling with, and I want to overcome this. There's no medicine, there's no, as you may say, it's just practice. And we have to acknowledge that we are having difficulty. Because sometimes, and also one thing, surround yourself with people that will give you energy. So I told my sisters, now I call them sisters because of Dr. Harbin, I need energy, let's meet up. I need, because I've been giving energy to people, to women. I said, I want someone to give me energy, so let's hang out for lunch. Also, what's weird is the people the friends that you think you consider friends, they're the #1 people who will not back you up on this. So find another tribe. It does not have to be more than 10. You only need 2 or 3 women or business or like-minded people to hang out with. And what I've learned is just the simple hi, hello, how are you, good morning message empowers someone. Because when I launched the company last October, I met a Vietnamese friend and we became sisters. And I didn't know that, because I wake up, okay, so I'll do my chores, but I'll say just good morning, then that's it. Because if I chat with them, everything's going to mess up. So I say, okay, good morning, that's it. And then obviously with emoticons. And that empowers her. I didn't know. And I start saying, just say good morning. Hi, hello, how are you? I just recently watched an interview of Meghan Markle. And she was teary-eyed when she said, because nobody asked her how she was. And that's a powerful 3 words, how are you? Sometimes you don't really know how to answer when you were asked, how are you? Especially when the father of my 2 children passed away. I call it divine intervention. In divine intervention, God did not want me to suffer for too long. And I'm not saying that He let him die, but when they were asking me, how are you? I thought like, you don't know really what to say. So just go on your day and acknowledge. The thing is, when you're feeling lazy, when you're feeling tired, acknowledge it. When you're feeling like you don't want to do everything, just also write it down. I don't want to do it today. If you're scheduling or all your energy meeting and stuff, make it a meeting as well. This is my procrastination time. Yes, and it works really so much. So first thing, acknowledge yourself, make it a habit, and hang out with like-minded person.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Vishwapriya. Please come here, please.
Miss Vala Valkar is not talking, isn't that Miss? Okay.
Our next speaker is Medha Goswami. Please, ma'am, come here.
Medha. ऐसे नहीं चल रहा, थोड़ा on कर रहा.
Hi guys.
Hello.
And thank you for these wonderful talks and presentations. I feel like how am I going to compete with this tremendous energy and insight? I'm going to keep it really short because I feel that I want to address two things that we face as women, and we have probably, I would say, most of us here have gone through. When I was a very young girl, I have a mother and a father, both wonderful parents. But my father, on one hand, always said to me, you can do whatever you want to do. You can be whoever you want to be. You can become anybody you want to be. And then I have this mother who always said to me, just do what is needed, just do the basics in life, and you don't need much, just be average in a way. And I know she meant well, but I want to point out how tremendously that impacted my self-confidence and self-esteem as a young girl, because I thought, oh my God, I can either be some creative or somebody she thinks I can be. So I struggled with that for many, many years until I went to college at Pratt Institute in New York. And I was this very protected Delhi girl who went to New York for the first time, and I was thrown into a pool of all kinds of crazy artists and designers and creatives. And even then, there was always this voice in the back of my head, my mother saying to me, just get good grades and just get ahead, like so many of us. Our mothers, fathers telling us you must be academically sound and get a good GPA and graduate with flying colors. And I always thought that, but why? What if I fail? What if this is not what I want to do? What if I studied for 4 years and failed, and maybe this is not my path? But of course, I was a very studious child, so I studied my way out of college and I got a decent GPA and I went into the real world. And I worked in corporate fashion in New York for 10 years after that. And every single year, as I did better and better and, God willing, got great jobs and I did well, I still had these voices, and mostly my mother, it was very shocking because she being a woman, I didn't understand why she had this perception of another woman, of her own child, who was trying to build her own life alone in a city far away. Was the same thing. Just keep your job. Just do the 9 to 5, get your salary, and go home and be that good girl. So I would say that my motivation and drive in life stems from this perception that somebody had of me, that I can't go beyond
Wow.
these boundaries.
Wow.
That I can only be a 9-to-5er who can work in a corporate job, get a good salary, get my 6-figure paycheck, and get married, have a kid, and do all of that. Nothing against marriage and kids, but that was not my path. So there I was at 31 years of age at the time, wanting to start my own business. And as I brought this up to my parents, they said, well, you've never run a business. We are not business people, we're professionals, we're doctors, or we're IT people, or corporate, whatever. And how are you going to do this? And why do you want to come back to India and do it? So I said, well, yet again, I have to prove myself to all these people who should be just trusting me, right? It's a given that whether it's a husband or a mother or a father or a sibling, to have this sort of just blind trust. But people don't. So here's why our own confidence, our own motivation, our own belief in ourselves is our number one strength. And I think, as you said, and as Riza said, that it's just about your own voice. It's about telling yourself, I look fine, I'm beautiful, or I'm successful, I have a brain, I can do whatever I want. So there I was. I moved back to India, and I'd never worked in India before in my life. I'd never worked with Indians. I'd only worked with Americans. And I don't know if you know the difference, but Americans and Indians are very, very different people in every way, mostly. So I come back and I start to set up this business, a studio, and the whole premise of this business, which drove me to start it, was how do I include women, more and more women, through the creations that I make. So this was about starting a clothing brand which addressed the needs of everyday working women, like us all. So the options were either you buy expensive, beautifully made clothing, designer fashion, or really cheap stuff that's, mass produced. And my goal was that no, we're going to do something that's sensibly made, well made, affordable, accessible, and still addresses the need of most women in the world, not just India, not just America, all over the world. And I was on this mission, and this was my mission, and I didn't want to hear anything about this. I said, I don't care if I fail. If 10 people tell me you're a woman, you can't work in India, you can't set up your own business. This is where my motivation and drive together came into being, because I said, if I'm just motivated, self-motivated, without this fire, I'll never get anywhere. So I turned my blinders on and I said, forget all of you. I'm going to hire people, and today we employ, maybe not the best thing, but we employ majority of men who work under me and have challenged me along the way, saying things like, ma'am aise kaise bol sakti hain? How can ma'am be so aggressive? How can she demand these things? And I think we've all probably heard those comments somewhere. How can you as a woman say, I don't want this, I don't like this is not right. That's a man's job. So this was another motivating factor which drove me to keep on building this business, which is now growing, and we will hopefully turn a profit this year, and it's been 4 years, and we've been building it, right, with the common goal that everybody should be included in this journey of life, right? My friends can be men or women, my parents, you all who I don't know, I've just met today. But we should all feel at every point in time that we're capable of doing anything that we set out to do. And it sounds really cheesy, but it really is true. There is nobody else stopping you from doing this other than you. And,
wow.
and that's where we are today. That's my motivation in life. And I feel that today, as I stand here, I feel successful, not because there are certain numbers in my business that show success, or somebody is telling me that you're successful. It's because I feel happy. I finally feel happy, and I feel that I found some sort of balance in my life, which was self-created. It wasn't given to me. It wasn't my mother telling me, you are going to plateau at this age, and after that you must have kids and do this. None of that. And I would just want to probably leave with a message that no matter where we are in the world, whether it's Japan, India, US, a village, anywhere in the world, we are the creators of our own destiny,
Beautiful.
our own present, our own future, and that should be our motivation and drive.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
That was,
Of course.
it was overwhelming. Thank you guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. Lovely to meet you.